Charlie and Erin escape to the desert to navigate an unexpected, challenging new phase of their relationship. I'm going to leave it there because this is a film that I really want people to see for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which is it is very well acted, and it's a story that I think everyone will be able to relate to, whether it's the same kind of story that we see, but everyone has gone through something like this in their life.
Yeah,
We're joined today by the director as well as one and writer, as well as I think co-producer. Do I have
I
that
did
correct?
it all.
You did it
There
all.
was some craft service in there, little hair and makeup, some costume design,
Kate
some
Aselton.
transpo.
She is the what we used to call what we call in baseball the five-tool player. She can do it all. So there you go. Okay, welcome to Cinemaphile.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you. And again, I mentioned before we got started, your tribe. I've been a huge fan of the people that have surrounded the Duplass brothers, as well as just their work as well, just the people who have gravitated to them. And certainly now is your sixth feature that
This,
you
yes, well, it's one of six.
one of.
Technically, in the lineup, I want to say, or it's one of six films. It was my fourth feature. There's a short in
Yes,
there.
yes, there is a short in there.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
the chronology is a little all over the place, but yeah.
Right. Going back to FREEBIE, you've been in, I think, three of your films,
Yes,
and you also directed Diane Keaton.
I did.
Yes, and was it Nick? What was it? I'm
Mac
sorry.
and Rita.
Mac and Rita, pardon me. Mac
Hmm.
and Rita. All of these experiences have led you to Magic Hour. Let's talk a little bit about the origin story. Where did this idea come from?
Yeah, I mean, when this idea was initially born, when Mark and I sort of first hatched it, I hadn't made anything since Black Rock. Mac and Rita hadn't come to me yet. So it had been some time since I was behind the camera. I had had my second child. I was on a TV show, then I was on another TV show, and things, I don't know, life was lifing. But it had been a really long time, and I don't know, it just like was calling me back. And, there's something about having done Puffy Chair at the very beginning of our careers that Puffy Chair really sort of became like this North Star for us. And the way we made Puffy Chair and the ethos behind that really became like the thing that we find ourselves constantly coming back to. And we're so lucky in this business that is so fickle and crazy that we've gotten to do sort of these bigger studio things and television shows. But we find ourselves, like, especially if we've gone too far in one direction, sort of longing to come back to this minimal crew, scrappy filmmaking, almost like guerrilla style, just out there improvising and making it up as we go along. There is something like a film camp vibe to it that feels very pure and earnest. And I don't know, it's a really nice contrast to Hollywood as it normally works. And so it had been a really long time. And I turned to Mark and I said, I really want to make a movie. And he said, great, let's write it. So every now and again, ideas just flow, right? And this was one of them. We happened to be on a road trip. We ended up like voice texting everything into my phone. And the document that's in there is really close to the movie that
Oh,
we
is
have
that
now.
right? Oh,
Um, and
well.
then,
Oh,
and then, and then, I mean, to be totally honest, it was 2019. Mac and Rita came to me, and then COVID happened.
and COVID happened.
And then COVID happened, and then everything got a little derailed, and Mac and Rita turned into something a little different. Magic Hour kind of got put on the back burner. And here we are in 2026, finally bringing it out to the world. So I couldn't be happier that we are here now.
So you mentioned Puffy Chair, and I want to go back to that time because that's about, if my memory serves, it's about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
2005, 2006, somewhere in there. And there were a fair number of independent films coming out that kind of shared that aesthetic.
Yeah.
A lot of filmmakers were kind of finding their feet, their bearing in that time. And as a result of that, there were a lot of actors who weren't known, who were getting opportunities they probably wouldn't have. And also another phenomena that seemed to be happening as well, which is established actors were dipping their toe into this independent film world, somewhat, I think, for street cred, but also
Hmm.
for an opportunity to kind of reinvigorate themselves. And there was a
Sure.
really nice period of time,
Yeah. Look,
2005 to two. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think a lot of it had to do with technology becoming more accessible.
Yeah,
Cameras got a lot cheaper, so it became a much easier thing
right.
to get a group of friends together. You weren't paying for film. Everything was all of a sudden digital and was starting to look better and better, even though you look back at these movies and you're like, oh my God, they look so bad. But they looked great at the time. It felt
Right.
like they looked great.
Mhm.
And so you had this whole sort of wave. It was almost like a new wave of filmmakers. And it did all seem like we all sort of came up together, but the truth is like everything just became accessible then. So people were able to make movies in a way that we couldn't make movies before. And I think larger names weren't stupid. I think you see some really cool new voices. Jablowski and
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Swanberg and Mark
Yes,
and Jay and
exactly.
all of these voices, and they're so fresh and they're so new, and they are not to like overdo it, but like they are doing what Cassavetes was doing.
Yes,
Like they are
yes.
doing it in their time. And I think Linklater did this as well. I think,
Yeah.
generationally you get like this little surge of voices. And it's so funny that it did all feel like it was happening at the same time. But I think if you sort of do the math, you're like, oh, it's because everyone got cameras in their hands.
Well, and I'm going to go back to one movie that I remember specifically really opening eyes to the fact that you could make a movie for practically nothing. And that was Tarnation. It was
Hmm.
documentary, and he claimed to have made Tarnation for $10 or something on his iMac,
Yeah.
or at that time Mac, whatever, Mac.
I
But
mean, I shot the freebie for 10 grand.
okay, there you go. There you
Like
go.
that is, I mean, that's not $10, but Mark and Jay's first movie was the a short film that was the price of like whatever the cassettes were that they used to put in
Yeah.
to an actual camcorder.
Well, and I remember Safety Not Guaranteed, which gave Colin Trevorrow his launch into the world of
Hmm.
film,
Yeah.
and beautifully done. This was still one of my favorite independent films, is
Yeah.
Safety Not Guaranteed. I love
It's a
that
good
film.
one.
And what a great cast it had going,
Hmm.
from there. But let's go. We're not here to talk about all my memories. We're here
Let's
to talk
promote
about
all the other movies.
we're here to talk about Magic Hour. And one of the things I always look for this in a film that draws my interest, and that is kind of the visual part of the film. And while this is a relatively sparse palette, if you will, we're in the desert for much of the film, it still provides us with a context for the story. But you open the film at an amusement park. And I think it's a metaphor. I think you were going for a metaphor for life, for fear, for possibilities, all and the excitement of life. Is that a fair analysis?
Well, listen, I want you to take what you took from it. Like it should always
Okay.
be your interpretation. But yes, sure, yes. I listen, the it starts with a flashback, and that doesn't give much away,
Right.
but the flashbacks are shot completely different than the rest of the movie is.
Yeah.
And that is for there's definitely a reason in that. Like it's full of life and yet completely two-dimensional and a little flatter, but like vivid and oddly, even though it's like just this frame, like somehow more expansive.
Mhm.
So yes, that was very thought out. But it is fun. Like now, speaking of like to what we were saying earlier about technology getting cheaper, like now you can get cinematic with these movies in a way that when, the early mumblecore movement, and I'm using quotes there because I don't, that's a term, whoever
It is a
coined it,
term. It's real.
bless them.
Yes.
But like in earlier in this sort of wave of filmmaking, you couldn't be as cinematic, and the cameras didn't afford it. But now, for a pretty minimal budget, like you can get something that looks gorgeous and anamorphic and stunning, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you literally can make a pretty darn good looking film with your phone.
Yeah. We
And
didn't shoot on a phone, but
yeah,
yes, we
yeah,
shot some of our stuff on a phone.
there you go. Well, again, avoiding any pitfalls here, I think I can safely say this is a film about love,
Mhm.
and it's about our memories, our relationships, not only to our the person we've chosen to be with, but also in our families
Yeah.
and the extended families and
Yeah,
such.
the way I've sort of been talking about it is like I think relationships in our life, whether it be familiar or a friend or a loved one or a partner, they take up space and they occupy a space. And when that love goes away for whatever reason, we tend to hold that space sacred. And then this is Magic Hour is sort of like an exploration of how long, how close, how sacred do you keep that space?
Well, I want to let people know there are two central terrific performances. Katie Aselton, as well as David Diggs, does a terrific job. The two of you playing off one another is wonderful in the film. We also have Brad Garrett and Susan Sullivan, DJ Shantala.
Shangela, I know Shangela from We're Here.
A Star is Born. That's where she
You know
was in.
what? DJ was in Stars Born. You're
Yes.
right.
So
Yeah.
so people can see Magic Hour beginning on this Friday.
It
Where
is
where
in
can we see it?
theaters. We're opening here in Los Angeles. We opened in New York last weekend. We'll be in Chicago next weekend. We'll be rolling out wider from here on out. And then soon enough, we will be on VOD.
Okay, and it's being released through Greenwich
Yeah.
release and terrific platform to be being distributed from. Terrific. Well, this is another film under your belt, and I assume that you've got more in line, more lined up to ready to go, and I look forward to it, Katie.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Again, we've been speaking with director, writer, producer, and co-star of the film Magic Hour, Katie Aselton. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.